Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show hosted by a French professor who's in his basement. It's a weird day. I didn't know if I was going to do this episode. I'm going to be reviewing the album Skids and Angels by Tobacco, a band I have reviewed once before, but I almost didn't review it. And usually whenever I say that, I like to talk about why would I not review it. You see, I have a trouble figuring out what I want to say about this music. You know, it's electronic dance music, but you can't dance to it. And it's not filled with those sort of super rad music and all crunchy cool. And it's avant-garde, but it's not super avant-garde. And it's a lot of things. It's very well made. It's very well crafted. But I didn't know there was nothing for me to hold on to really use for a review. But I don't review very often. I don't review electronic music very often. I really enjoy electronic music. It's something which my brother Amos introduced me to, and I've just sort of always wanted to pay some attention to. I think I've done probably 20 reviews at this point, but it's always tough. It's always tough because I'm not an expert. I mean, I'm not an expert on anything, but I am particularly not an expert on electronic dance music. I don't know the subgenres. I don't know the difference between house and happy house and stuff like that. But really more it's that instrumental music, that's an entire half that is just cut off. That's an entire half of what I like to talk about. The easier part for me as someone who is formed as a literary analyst, a literary analropist, that's just an easier way for me to go. But let's look at this album, Skids and Angels by Tobacco. There's no words. And more than that, the song titles, which often in instrumental albums will help guide you along, are not particularly evocative. There isn't one theme that I could pick up. Even the title, Skids and Angels, are two disparate things. I don't know how they go together. And the cover is this dirty, not even dirty, a clean industrial shower. Seems to be in some kind of dormitory. And there's this weird shape in the middle that I thought was a heart, but if you look up closer, it's and it's better if I describe it and you don't see it. Look at it after I'm done describing it. There's a black and white, actually pink and white image, a two-tone image of someone holding on to sheep and smiling, but the top of their head is cut off. And then behind this mysterious figure is what appears to be a long brown tongue just on the wall of this industrial shower. So I got it. I finally figured it out after listening to this album 3 times, okay? I listened to it at the gym. I listened to it while I was trying to get my daughter to go to sleep. I listened to it while driving my kid to his allergy shots, It's uncanny. And if you don't know, uncanny, there's a whole literary theory about the uncanny. I don't need to get into it right now. But what really matters about it is the sense of something that is familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. And when something feels familiar and unfamiliar, the German word is the original word this was discussed as, unheimlich, which means unhomelike. That's that weird sense, that's what dreams are like things are real and they're what you expect, but there's something off. There's something not home-like. So this is not electronic dance music, but nor is it not electronic dance music. It's electronic, uncanny music. The more I think about it, the more I realize this album is filled with starts and stops and with shifts and changes, and it's simultaneously very ambitious while also very hard to parse. It's not avant-garde enough to be avant-garde, and it's not danceable enough to be danceable. It's right in between those things. But let me give you an example, okay, of how difficult this album is to analyze, which is not a criticism of the album. That's praising the album. If it's hard to describe, it's at least interesting. And I would say this album goes further than that. So I want you to listen to the song Intimacy Coordinator. 3 minutes and 9 seconds. And I'm going to show you the difficulty I have just on technical in a technical way to describe this music. So just click above the Radiohead Band-Aid. Ooh, the heater went off. The sound just got better down here. I also like it down here because it's a little uncanny down here, you know, like this light. It's like you're looking at Professor Sky, but he's not where he usually is, you know. So I'm going to take you frame by frame it, like Naughty by Nature. Starts right off. Intimacy coordinator. First of all, the title. Beautiful title. Weird. What does it mean? Intimacy coordinator? Intimacy coordinator. Somebody who coordinates intimacy. Is this a pimp? Is this a matchmaker? Is this an algorithm? What does this mean? Like, I know what these two words mean, but when you put them together, I don't know what they mean. It starts right off. Rising, double arpeggiated keyboards that are a little bit behind themselves. And these really super compressed drums make a simple chugging beat. And there's these little snaps that are off the beat. And it does that for about 16 seconds. When 16 seconds in, these sweeping, creeping synthesizers come in, and the drums cut out for a second, and then we start the process. At 20 seconds in, we are now going to have 2 straight minutes of chunks of 10 seconds. And I didn't notice this when I first listened to it. When I first listened to it, when I second listened to it, and when I third listened to it, I didn't know. I just knew that this was my favorite song and I wanted to analyze it. So just a couple minutes ago, my wife made some veggie burgers. We're eating them upstairs. Impossible. It was good. Actually, beyond. You know, we were there and I was eating, and then they all went upstairs and I listened to the song and I started writing it down. And then I noticed at 20 seconds in, every 10 seconds for 2 minutes, something changes. There's a pause and then something else happens. It is discontinuous. You can't make dance music and have it be discontinuous. Discontiguous, that's the word. You can't have it be discontipulous either. Okay? Turn into Mike Tyson here. It can't be that way, but it is. So here at 20 seconds, and the effect that this has, by the way, of every 10 seconds, things changing subtly, like a little pause, is almost like you're walking through a ghost house. Like you're walking through a ghost house and you open up a door and then you see a new tableau and there's something kind of weird, and then you close the door and then you go down the hall. Every 10 seconds. No David S. Pumpkins, but that same kind of idea of leading up to something. This really is a great Halloween album. I think this should have been released at Halloween. That's just my thought. So at 20 seconds, there's these fluttering sounds that leads up to this very sharp crescendo for the first full super hard cut to silence. And then it goes back to the way that it was from the 20 to 30 second chunk, but then some awkward, like backward sounding sounds in the back that are very like resolve, and then they cut out, as you know, and then come back at 40 seconds to something totally mad. At this point, the song's gone off the rails. The song started off as kind of a nice, gentle thing. Now the drums are super fast, super scratchy, what I call scritchy. You know, like the drum beat is like a meth head or something, just like scratching at its skin. These like echoing, booming hi-hat sounds, backward sounds everywhere. Cuts out again at 49 seconds. And then the aggressive sounds come back. They come back from the last one, still cutting out at 60 seconds, and then more fluttering sounds. And then at 1 minute, 10 seconds, it gets calmer. This nice 5-layer dip of a beat. There's some more backward sounds. Everything's calming down. At 120, we have some scary descending ghost sounds. How do I even describe this? There's like flanged and compressed, and then there's this weird sound, like this like reverse exhale sound as well that just keeps on popping in. And then at 130, we have this drum line that's slightly doubled, and that scary bit is still there. That scary descending ghost sound. Really, like you're in a haunted house. 140 to 150, a haunted house where you take a shower and there's a big tongue in the shower, and not in a cool way. 140 to 150, rising, simple keyboard line. Now it stops cutting every 10 seconds. It lasts 20 seconds. There's this nice, catchy, slightly aggravating keyboard line that goes from 140 to 2 minutes. Then at 2 minutes, it's basically repeated again. Still some more new noises in the back. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's weird and different. And the thing is, when you listen at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, I says to myself, how do we get here? Like, I at no point listening to this music have I thought like, whoa, this is crazy, except for that, maybe that 40-second point. But really, it's the shift, the amount that this has traveled, this music has traveled, has taken me all over the place. This cassava almost sounding, you know, like that, is it a cassava? Is that what you call it? Jeez, tell me in the comments. The percussion instrument where you shake it and it's got like the thing on the thing. It's got that kind of sound. And then almost like a church sound in the back, like an organy guitar line far away. And then again, a slighter break at 2:40. Until 2 minutes and 50 seconds, the drums are out totally. And then at 3 minutes, as the heat goes back on, there's just echoes for another 9 seconds. No words. No clear explanation of what is meant by intimacy coordinator. But really, so much happening. How did I do, by the way? Can you tell me? Can you tell me how I did describing that? Was that exciting to you? It was exciting to me to follow this. I'm going to go through the rest of the album a lot quicker. But here's the thing. I could do that for every single song. I could actually... There's so much layering and depth to this. But it's so subtle that there's no part where I go like, oh man, you gotta listen to this, man. Yeah! There's just so much restraint. So the album opens with a song called The Black Album. Man, you see, if it had never gone off, it wouldn't have bugged me. But now that it's come back on, we're just going to have to live with it. Opens up with a song called The Black Album. How many albums are The Black Album, by the way? We have Jay-Z, Weezer, Metallica, unofficially, Spinal Tap. I mean, it's called Kiss the Glove, but it's Black and Black. Donda, that's a Black Album. Lots of Black Albums. Very cool and scritchy, cool B parts. There is like, every once in a while they tease you. I don't know if Tobacco is they or he. I'm trying to remember my old video. I remember they're from Pittsburgh. I had ketchup with my veggie burger. Anyways, it gets kind of weird and more abstract. A much weirder song than that is the next song, Bitch Ass Moon, which my daughter said, what did the moon ever do to them? Funny joke. Very hissy. And it feels like it doesn't quite start. But there's these weird, odd vocalizing sounds, all kind of shattered and weird, and like a hi-hat that can't catch up. And now that I'm... Ketchup. Heinz Field. Whatever they call it now. Bank Stadium. You know, like, now that I'm looking at these... Look at this. You see, these are my notes right here. I don't have a script, right? I have notes. And these are the header for the song. And you see how little I wrote. And then this is Intimacy Coordinator. It's here all the way there. It makes me realize that each one of these songs really does deserve that level of attention, because that's the level of craftsmanship or craftswomanship. I don't know if Tobacco's a lady or a bunch of ladies. Nice work here on We're There, kind of gentle, some like nice super compressed drum machine, more pauses, so many pauses in this album, layers and layers upon layers of arpeggios. This is maybe the least challenging song. Next song is called More, with the stop and start and stop, gauzy, hissy sounds, more cool compressed drums. Palm Veo, super jerky, reminds me a little bit of Mr. Oizo. Start and stop, again, that's just everywhere, all over this. Jiff Breed is the next song. What does any of this mean? More start and stop songs. At one point, it almost turns into like a jungle beat. And I swear you can hear a human being say something. I think you hear a woman say, I won't be on call. But I don't know. It's like when you listen to an album this unsettling, this uncanny, this unheimlich, you just want to hold on to anything. You know, like they never give you enough of a beat to just dance to. Or if you dance, you have to dance in sort of a frenetic way. You know, like I went to middle school. I had a really good friend named Andrew, and I I think he's a professor of mathematics now at Stanford. So, pretty smart guy. But he had a funny way of dancing in middle school where he'd kind of run forward and then run back and then run forward and then run back. When I danced in middle school, I did the shift and clap and shift and clap. So I was no better. But it just kind of reminds me that's sort of like that's sort of the way you have to dance. Like Anthony Michael Hall. Imagine Anthony Michael Hall in a movie dancing. That's how you have to imagine how you dance to this. Cupid Dioxide, great title. They're all good titles. Has all these nice descending flutes. The sound cuts out at times. Dust Man. I'm in a dusty basement. It's actually not super dusty. Keep it clean around here. Nice kind of backwards sounds and the guitar winding. And this is where I realized how much of this album reminds me of the feeling of vaporwave. You know, the kind of slowed down, pitched down music that's usually played over videos of abandoned malls. And that's really a feeling I get, that uncanny feeling, right? That's why people like abandoned malls, because it's uncanny, because it's a place that they're used to going, but they're empty. So there's like a place of life, it's also a place of death, right? That's the nature of it. None of this feels that kind of cheesy, intentional uncanny, like vaporwave stuff, where sometimes it's kind of like a cheap trick. But there's just like a horrific quality to this music. It falls apart, starts to form, and falls apart. The weird vocalizing that's actually a horror bit. But here's the thing. I say it's like horror, and if you listen to it, you go, I want to listen to some horror. No, it's not going to be clipping. I'm sorry. It's not going to actually... It doesn't go all the way. It's that restraint I'm talking about. When I grew up, I had a dog named Penny. This is not on my notes. But Penny was a really funny dog because she'd play catch with you, but she would never bring the ball all the way to you. She would leave it just out of reach. So you'd have to get up and get the ball. Okay? So this music, it's not going to bring you dance music. It's not going to bring you avant-garde music. It's not going to bring you horror music. It's going to go right up to it, but then it's going to change every 10 seconds, and then you're somewhere else. Next song is Serave. This, at the end, has a ridiculously sweet melody. And if you know this music, if you know this album, I assume if you're watching this, it's because you like it. By the way, please smash the like bucket and subscribe. My videos are not doing well this week. I don't know. I'm not talking about hip-hop, and whenever I don't talk about hip-hop, everyone gets mad at me. Not everyone gets mad at me, just no one watches my videos. But this is Thunderground Thursday. I'm literally Thunderground right now. So please like this video to show me that it's good that I cover artists that aren't big or hip-hop artists. But if you're a fan of this album, you might not have even noticed this really sweet, small, micro melody. And that's the thing, what I bet is the more you listen to this album, the more it gets into your brain, the more these little micro melodies just pop up. And then we get the Stamp Intimacy Coordinator, then Get Yourself Away, these blaring synth horns and Doppler effects. And I was listening. This is just weird. But what the hell? You're 18 minutes into a review that very few people are going to watch. So I'm going to tell you one more story. It's just weird. I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this album, and I'm also watching the TV trivia show Jeopardy. I like watching Jeopardy because I'm really good at it, and I don't know. It strokes my ego. So they actually said right after, so I would listen to this, and then Jeopardy would come back on. I'd hit pause, and I'd watch Jeopardy. Right after I listened to Get Yourself Away, and I discussed how they have the Doppler effects on the horns. The first question on that episode was, this person pictured described the effect of sound moving closer and further away. Beep. Who is Doppler? Weird coincidence. But is it a coincidence? Yeah, it is. Unexpected drum machine here. There's like nice kind of like bell sound, so much distortion, really bent and twisted synths. There is a movement to this album. The back half of this album is spookier, less danceable than the first half, more vaporwavy. It gets slightly inspirational at a certain point, and then it settles with this nice bumpy, low, compressed bass keyboard, backward sounds, and a funky drum machine. Do you hear all the things I have to say? Hey, tobacco, knock it off. This is hard. Say stuff. Be political or apolitical. Let me just say that again. While I'm trying to describe this music. It settles nicely with bumpy, low, compressed bass keyboard, backwards sounds, and eventually a funky drum machine. Damn, Tobacco, where'd you find that one? The album ends with Spiritualities, which has these great, badass, weird sounds like this weird. I can't do it. But it's the only. I will say, for an instrumental album that is at times odd, it's not very funny. There's like one funny bit. It's right here, and there's this impossibly annoying sound. This impossibly annoying squealing sound. Not okay. It's the second most annoying sound after the sound of my heater down here. But you know, like that Dumb and Dumber. Do you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? It's like that. A great B section with like a funky drum machine with that cowbell sound, and then maybe my favorite point. There's that little bit on Se Sarave, but the guitar work just at the end of this. There's this descending surf nightmare guitar, where it's all warbled and gibbled and fibbled, and it's just a beautiful ending to the album. So there's my review. I am going to say that, you know, I've been collaborating with a lot of people lately, and part of the reason I want to do this video is a YouTuber who I really like randomly commented on my last tobacco video. That YouTuber's name is Arlo. He does video game reviews, but he's just a very sort of positive, intelligent force in the sort of video game. If you don't know about me, I don't play video games. I just watch people talk about them, and that scratches that itch. I don't read comic books. I watch people talk about comic books on YouTube. Like, basically, you know, that's just how I am. And so I really like Arlo. Arlo's a blue puppet. And anyways, so this is not really like a thank you, but just sort of like, I don't know. I just thought, like, that was the first time I've ever seen somebody whose videos I watched comment on my videos. And that was very exciting. So, anyways, there you go. Thank you to the greatest blue puppet since Grover. And frankly, now that HBO has canceled Grover, the greatest blue puppet. Until next time. Oh, I should wait till the 10. Oh, wait. Okay, I'll wait till it gets to 22:30. There's the camera.